Counter-Strike has never been a game that gets filled with a lot of content, especially recently. But over the 2 decades it's been around, there have been countless amounts of secrets that go completely unnoticed by the vast majority of players. So today we'll be looking at some of Counter-Strike's most unknown secrets that have been hidden away for almost 2 decades. Starting with the various cut content that have been found in CS2's game files, some of these items include the trap fire grenade, which is fully modeled but has never been implemented. There is also another grenade labeled the smoke beacon grenade that is found alongside a picture of a bear trap in the game files. And although we don't know for sure what these are for, people have speculated that they could have been potentially made for Danger Zone as they don't really fit into the main game of CS2. There is also a mock-up image of an agent case, which could indicate that in the future we might be able to unbox agent skins. If the Mag 7 Seabird has ever looked strangely familiar to you, then it's probably because the skin's color palette was actually picked using this picture of the birds from Finding Nemo, and is, of course, the reason why it's called the Seabird in the first place. I'm sure we all know that Palais has a ton of Easter eggs, but the one I never see people mentioning is the Dragon Lore Easter egg. If you break all of these fire alarms and balloons, a door will open in the main lobby, which then allows you to collect this key and open the case. Then you can open all the presents under the tree to activate a final present on the chair behind you, which contains a Dragon Lore. Unfortunately, not one you can keep. If you get close enough to a player holding an AUG, you will notice that the scope of the gun has a screen on the end of it, but the SG, which uses the same scope model, doesn't have the screen, which I find somewhat interesting. Back in CSGO, when Anubis was still just a community map, there was a jump scare that would trigger if you no-clipped behind this door on B site. But ever since it got added into the competitive map pool, the jump scare was removed, but a homage to the original still remains in the same exact spot. We all think of the Howl as being the only skin that got removed for copyright, but in reality, there are a lot of other copywritten skins in the game. For example, the M4A1S Shantico's Fire, AK Frontside Misty, M4A4 Griffin, and of course, the Doodle Lore have all been subject to copyright, but these are just far less significant because after the Howl incident, Valve learned their lesson and simply redesigned the stolen skins instead of removing them altogether. If you're a big Half-Life fan, you will definitely enjoy this because on the default dual Berettas, if you look closely enough, you can see an engraved name that reads Gordon F, which refers to Gordon Freeman, who is the main character in Half-Life and further supports the theory that Counter-Strike and Half-Life take place in the same exact universe. Across all of Inferno, almost every sign has some sort of correlation to a Valve employee or the mapmaker himself. For example, this sign is a play on Magner Jensen's name, and this one refers to Robert Briscoe, who are both official Valve employees. And of course, I can't forget the most common one, which refers to Chris Audie, who is the original map maker. This one's for all my esports fans out there, because if you didn't know, Evil Geniuses was originally going to sign the iBuyPower roster, but bailed when the reports of match fixing appeared, and as a result, they didn't enter the Counter-Strike scene for another 5 years. After reaching 1 million kills on the StatTrak counter, it won't go any higher than 999,999 since the counter can only show 6 numbers at any given time. If you type in the command map AR_baggage_vanity, you will load into the main menu part of baggage, which actually hides some pretty cool stuff that you usually can't see from the main menu. I bet you didn't know that there was a live chicken hidden behind some of the luggage. Back in July 23rd of 2020, there was a small update released for the Decoy grenade. You see, before this patch, whenever a Decoy grenade exploded, it would do a very small amount of damage to anyone that was standing directly on top of it, which was never really a problem. However, throughout the years, griefers would intentionally get themselves to very low health, and then ask their teammates to throw Decoy grenades so they could then stand on top of them and force them to get cooldowns for team killing. As of right now, the cheapest covert skin is a battle-scarred MP7 Bloodsport, which goes for around $1.91. The cheapest knife, on the other hand, is a well-worn Navaja Safari Mesh for $88, which is far too much. Please, if you have $88, just save up for a better knife. It's not worth it, I promise. I promise! The lowest float item in Counter-Strike is this glitched Karambit Vanilla, which was actually created by Steam support. Because back when skins first came out, Steam wasn't sure how to deal with scammers, so for a very short amount of time, they decided it would be a good idea to replace stolen items. Which is honestly very nice, but when this was happening, someone got their Vanilla Karambit scammed and asked for it to be replaced. And after giving enough proof, Steam support actually did replace it, but the person who replaced the skin forgot to put a float value on the knife since it was a vanilla finish. So now, as long as Counter-Strike is still around, this will forever be the #1 lowest float item. The R8 revolver can one-tap an enemy from a farther distance than the Desert Eagle, which means in some very niche scenarios, the R8 revolver can be better than the Deagle. But remember, very, very niche scenarios. This video is sponsored by skinvault.gg, which is the best trading site that makes upgrading your skins as easy as possible. Literally all you have to do is sign into your Steam account, add your trade link, and then select all the skins you don't want anymore to get a brand new one from their huge catalog of skins. They also offer an instant selling feature for people who want a quick, easy, and safe way to cash out their inventories with the lowest possible fees on the whole entire market. So make sure to use code nilloc to receive a free $10 bonus on your first trade, as well as a 35% deposit bonus. SkinVault is unironically the best. Whenever I mention this to someone, they never knew it was possible, so I thought I would share it with you guys. And that is the fact that if you press your interact key on this vent, then it will actually fully close the vent. It's very useless, but still one of my favorite CS features. If you've ever picked up a skin and thought it looked a little different than before, then there's actually a chance that you might not be going crazy. Because in the past, Valve has tweaked the brightness levels of a few skins inside the game, including the SG Darkwing, M4 Decimator, SSG Mainframe, P2000 Urban Hazard, and the UMP Wildchild. And although these are just brightness changes, some of them actually change the look of the skin quite significantly. This is a fairly new entry, but considering it was only in the game for less than a week, I thought I would mention the old AK Inspect animation, which I'm so glad was replaced with what we have today because my god, it was horrendous. The USP Orion, MAC-10 Curse, CZ Poison Dart, P90 Desert Warfare, and the Dual Beretta's Retribution were all removed from the original Huntsman case because the creator of all these skins helped make the M4A4 Howl. But to our knowledge, his partner was the one who used the stolen artwork, which he wasn't aware of, but still resulted in all of his other skins to be removed as collateral. If there is a silver lining though, it is the fact that all of these skins can still be earned through trade-ups, so they're not completely out of the game. Counter-Strike's first two majors were actually won by a quote-unquote home team, with Fnatic winning in Sweden and Virtus.pro winning in Poland. There are some very unknown wallbangs that you can do on Mirage. For example, you can wallbang someone running into T-apps from Catwalk if you have a high penetration rifle like the AUG. And if you were wondering, yes, it does work both ways. The OneUp Graffiti that can be seen on Overpass is actually a reference to a real-life graffiti squad that is popular in Germany. The reason this is featured on the map is because Overpass is actually set in Germany, making it a really cool reference. On Jura, inside the gift shop, there is a card with the map creator's Twitter handle on it, which, I'm not gonna lie, is a very deserved self-plug. On Agency, when you run across these motion sensors, you can actually see them being tripped from the laptop in T-spawn, which definitely confirms that this map will probably never be in the competitive pool because, in all honesty, that is kind of OP. On Grail, there's a chest that contains a giant ruby, emerald, and sapphire with a black pearl necklace hanging around it, which obviously is a reference to the 4 gem knives that we currently have in the game. The sound a hostage makes when you hurt them is the exact same sound that is heard when you kill someone with a Zeus. On Dogtown, if you no-clip behind these surfboards, there is a strange green figure hiding in this corner of the shop, with what I believe to be a head crab from Half-Life on top of it. But with that being said, those are Counter-Strike's most unknown secrets. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day.